Our neighbor hosted a block barbecue and invited everyone but us. When my son asked why, she looked down at him and said, "Because your family brings the property value down." That night, someone dumped barbecue sauce all over our porch and left chicken bones on our doormat. I tried to ignore it, but then my security camera caught her husband whispering to my daughter through the fence, "Your mommy's mean. You should come live with us." I confronted him, and his wife called CPS on me. What they said I did nearly got my child taken. When we first moved to the neighborhood, I thought it was everything we had ever wanted. Big open yards, good schools, neighbors who waved. I had no idea we had landed right next to monsters. It started small. Cindy Sanderson would give me these fake little smiles whenever we passed each other walking our dogs. The kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes. At first, I brushed it off. We all have off days, right? The 4th of July barbecue was when I realized it wasn't just me imagining things. They made a big show of it. Balloons tied to every mailbox except ours. Printed invitations delivered house to house. I remember standing on our porch, watching them laugh with everyone as they handed out those cards. I told Marcus, maybe they just forgot. But my gut knew better. On the day of the barbecue, Carter and Lacey were so excited. Carter put on his little red, white, and blue t-shirt. Lacey wore a star-spangled tutu. I tried to keep them distracted with popsicles and sprinklers, but they kept glancing down the street where the party was roaring. Finally, Carter couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the fence. Cindy was walking by with a big tray of burgers, surrounded by neighbors laughing at some joke she told. "Mrs. Sanderson," Carter called out, his voice full of hope. "Did you forget to invite us?" She stopped. Everyone went quiet. She bent down like she was talking to a toddler, gave this sickly sweet smile, and said, "We didn't forget, honey. Your family brings the property value down." I swear I heard someone snicker behind her. Carter's face fell. I saw it like it was happening in slow motion. That innocent little heart just shattering. I put my hand on his shoulder and said, "Come on, bud. Let's go." We grilled hot dogs in the backyard that night, just us four. I tried to make it special. We lit sparklers and roasted marshmallows. But it wasn't the same. I caught Carter's sneaking glances over the fence at the fireworks the neighbors were setting off. He didn't understand. I barely did. Then came the barbecue sauce. Late that night, after we'd put the kids to bed, I went to let the dog out. I stepped outside and my foot slid. I nearly fell. Someone had poured thick, sticky barbecue sauce all over our porch. It smelled sour in the summer heat. Chicken bones were tossed all over our doormat like trash. Marcus came running when he heard me gasp. We stared at the mess in silence for a second. Then he said, voice tight, "They think this is funny." I wanted to call the cops. Marcus said no. They'll just deny it. It'll make it worse. So I cleaned it up while he kept watch. Scrubbing at the sauce, picking up the bones with gloved hands, tears burning my eyes. I felt humiliated, angry, trapped. The worst part was explaining it to the kids the next morning. "Why would somebody do that?" Carter asked, wide-eyed. I lied through my teeth. Probably some teenagers playing a prank. I hated myself for lying. But how do you tell your children that grown adults are trying to humiliate you? That your family isn't wanted? I thought it couldn't get worse. I was wrong. 2 days later, Lacey came in from the backyard holding her doll, looking confused. "Mommy," she said, "the man next door said I could come swim in his pool." I felt my stomach drop. "What man, baby?" "The one with the brown hair. He said you're mean and that I could come live at his house." I pulled up the footage from our security camera, my hands shaking. We had installed cameras when we first moved in, just because of general safety concerns. Thank God we had them. There he was, Darren Sanderson, leaning over the back fence while Lacey played with her dolls in the yard. Smiling like he was her best friend. "You know," he said in the sugary voice, "your mommy's mean. You should come live with us. We have a big pool. The rage I felt at that moment. I can't even describe it. I could have called the cops right then. Instead, I stormed right over to their house, banged on the door, and waited. Cindy opened it, looking smug. "You better tell your husband to stay away from my kids," I snapped. She tilted her head, fake sympathy dripping from her voice. "You seem unstable, Abby. Maybe you shouldn't be raising children if you can't control your emotions." I saw Darren lurking behind her, grinning. They slammed the door in my face. 2 days later, CPS showed up. I barely heard what the woman said at first. My head was spinning. Someone had called in an anonymous tip. Said our house was unsanitary. That I screamed at the kids. That I was unfit. They interviewed Carter and Lacey separately. Asked them questions about yelling and dirty clothes and feeling scared. I sat on the couch with my hands clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. Marcus paced the hallway like a caged animal. When the caseworker finally left, she said there were no immediate concerns, but they had to keep the case open for 6 months. Just protocol, she said, avoiding my eyes. I knew who had done it. And that's when I realized ignoring them wasn't an option anymore. This was war. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the couch staring at the blank TV screen while Marcus paced. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that smug look on Cindy's face. Heard Darren's greasy voice whispering to my daughter. Remembered the way Carter's face fell when she told him we weren't good enough. They wanted us out. They didn't just want to humiliate us. They wanted to break us. And if we didn't fight back smart, they might succeed. First thing I did was install more cameras. Front yard, backyard, side yard, all in plain sight. I put up bright, bold "No trespassing" signs too. Second thing I did was start a paper trail. I wrote down everything. Dates, times, what was said, what was done. I wanted a full log if it ever came down to legal action. Third thing, I started digging. Turns out, Cindy wasn't just a petty housewife. She was a real estate agent. A pretty successful one, too. Made sense why she cared so much about property values. Her face was all over bus stop benches and grocery cart ads around town. And Darren? He had a little secret. The guy wasn't just a smirking creep. He had a history. Marcus found old arrest records online, nothing major, but enough. Disorderly conduct. Drunk and disorderly at a minor league baseball game. An old restraining order from a girlfriend back in 2011. The pieces started to fit together. These people weren't just mean. They were reckless. They thought they were untouchable because they had money, nice cars, and a big fancy house. I started planning. It wasn't about petty revenge. It was about protecting my family. About making damn sure they thought twice before messing with us or anyone else again. First, I quietly talked to the other neighbors. Not everyone loved the Sandersons as much as it looked. I didn't go around whining. I just casually mentioned the CPS call, the chicken bones, the barbecue sauce. I showed them the footage of Darren talking to Lacey, careful to stay calm and factual. People were horrified. Turns out, Cindy had pissed off more people than I thought. She had strong-armed one neighbor into upgrading their shutters because they made the street look poor. She made passive-aggressive comments about people's lawns, cars, even their holiday decorations. I let that information marinate around the neighborhood, quietly, calmly, no drama. Meanwhile, I also filed a police report. Not a loud one, not a screaming match on the porch. A quiet, formal complaint about harassment. Gave them the footage. Explained the CPS retaliation. The officer who took the report was polite but non-committal. "We'll note it," he said. "But unless it escalates, there's not much we can do." I didn't expect much. That wasn't the real plan anyway. The real plan was much, much bigger. And it started the night I saw Darren sneaking around our backyard with a flashlight. It was a little past midnight when I saw him. I had just gotten up to get a drink of water. I always check the cameras out of habit now. flicked on the monitor in the kitchen, expecting the usual empty lawn. Instead, there he was, Darren Sanderson, creeping along the side of our house, a flashlight in one hand, the other hand carrying something I couldn't see. He was trying to stay low, darting glances toward the street every few seconds. I didn't even think. I grabbed my phone, called 911, and told Marcus to get dressed. While we waited, I kept my eyes glued to the screen. I watched him slip into our backyard. Seconds later, the side gate creaked open. He disappeared from view for a minute. When he came back into frame, he wasn't carrying anything anymore. I didn't want to know what he left behind. 3 police cars pulled up within 5 minutes. Lights flashing, no sirens. They moved fast, surrounding the house. One officer knocked on our door while 2 others went straight for the backyard. Darren didn't even try to run. They brought him around front in cuffs. Cindy came sprinting out of her house in pajama pants and a robe, screaming bloody murder. This is a mistake. He was just taking a walk. You people are insane. The cops ignored her. One officer stayed behind and walked me and Marcus through the backyard. And there it was. Right under Lacey's bedroom window. A dead squirrel, blood still fresh, tied to a string with a crude little sign next to it. It said, "Bad moms get bad things." I almost threw up. The cops were serious after that. It wasn't just harassment anymore. It was threats. It was tampering with private property. They arrested him for trespassing, animal cruelty, and attempted intimidation. But the real blow hadn't landed yet. See, all that security footage? All those logs I'd been keeping? The police took it all as evidence. And because Cindy was screaming like a banshee out on the front lawn, in front of neighbors filming with their phones, word spread like wildfire. The next morning, the videos were everywhere. Facebook, Nextdoor. Even the local news picked it up. Prominent local realtor's husband arrested after disturbing incident. Cindy's real estate company dropped her like a hot rock. Within a week, her face was scraped off every grocery cart, every bus bench. Her agency issued a public apology, saying she did not reflect their values. They didn't even sugarcoat it. The Sandersons went from top of the heap to radioactive overnight. Their friends stopped showing up. Their cars got egged one night. Someone mowed Liar into their front lawn. Not us, though I won't lie, I laughed. Cindy tried to host another block party 2 months later. Nobody came. They put their house up for sale about 3 months after Darren's arrest. At a huge loss. I heard later they had to move 2 towns over just to find anyone willing to sell them a home. And me? I stayed right where I was. Every morning when I walk past their old house, I smile. Because they tried to destroy my family. And they ended up destroying themselves. Even after they moved, it took me a long time to feel normal again. At first, it felt like we had won. Like justice had finally been served. Darren was on probation for a year. Cindy's career was in ashes. They were gone. But winning didn't fix everything. The CPS file stayed open for months, just like they said. Every time the doorbell rang, I would panic inside. Carter started having nightmares. He asked once, "What if they come back?" I had to lie to him again. I told him no one would ever hurt him, even though a small part of me stayed afraid too. Marcus and I fought more than we used to, about stupid things. About money. About whether we should move too, just to get a fresh start. He hated seeing me constantly checking the cameras, constantly looking over my shoulder. I wasn't the same person anymore. I got colder. Harder. I stopped trusting people. Neighbors would wave, and I would barely wave back. I hated what they had done to us, but even more, I hated what I had become. One night after putting the kids to bed, Marcus sat me down. He said, "You beat them, Abby. But if you keep living like they're still here, you're letting them win again." It hit me hard. Because he was right. All that rage I had carried, all that planning and digging and fighting, it protected us when we needed it. It saved our family. But if I didn't learn to let it go, it was going to eat me alive. I made mistakes too. I let their hatred change me. So I worked on it. Little by little. I deleted the security feed off my phone. I stopped checking the neighborhood Facebook gossip. I took the kids out for ice cream without worrying who we'd bump into. I started living again, not just surviving. 6 months later, a new family moved into the Sandersons' old house. A nice young couple with twin boys and a golden retriever. Normal people. The first thing they did was bring over a plate of brownies to introduce themselves. I stood there on my porch, holding the warm plate, blinking back tears. Because maybe, just maybe, it was over. Maybe monsters only win when you let them steal your peace forever. And no matter what they'd tried to do to us, we were still standing. Still together. Still a family. And there wasn't a damn thing Cindy or Darren could ever do to change that.